So how are we not talking about the White Lotus? So I've been meaning to make videos on the White Lotus for some time now, and after last night's episode, I was like, all right, you gotta hop on and talk about this already. I've been watching the White Lotus since it premiered, and I've been keeping up with all of the episodes, and let me tell you, this episode is just the one that over the top. So let's go ahead and start right from where we started here, but let's go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 30,000 subscribers. We are currently doing a giveaway where we will be having somebody win a gift. All you have to do is you have to subscribe. Make sure you turn that notification bell on, and also comment below what is your favorite movie of the year, and that's all you have to do to enter, and just leave a comment down below. But let's talk about this episode, which I think just definitely blew the top off everything, as we saw a boiling point happening here. So over the past couple of weeks, we've been seeing these rich people go to this really rich resort, and the White Lotus always focuses on that, right? It's these rich people who aren't the best people, and they are definitely some people that are like very much so going to get on your nerves with everything they do, but it's just fun to see all of this unfold. So let's start off with the main characters, in my opinion, that we really do follow a lot here, straight from the beginning, and that's actually Harper, as well as Ethan and Ethan's friend and his wife. And we see that Harper has now found a condom wrapper, so she knows something happened that night when her and Daphne went to Noto, and so she's trying to figure out what exactly happened. She's trying to question Ethan without asking him really, and all she decided to do now is just leave the condom for him to find, and that way they can actually talk about what exactly happened here. So what we see happen is that Ethan wakes up and he finds a condom, and this causes a whole thing with him and Harper, and he basically confesses to what happened and says he had nothing to do with it. It was Cameron who hooked up with Lucia, and it was not him at all that did anything here. And now we see that Harper's a little bit, I don't really trust you that much anymore. And so we see when they go out with Cameron and Daphne that day, see that Harper is more like, I'm gonna do whatever I want now, and she's grilling both Cameron and Ethan with questions about infidelity and getting with multiple women and all of that. And so we see that Ethan realizes what she's doing, and Cameron starts to notice as well, confronting Ethan of why he told her anything like that. And he tells him, it's your fault, you left a condom, and I had to explain because she thinks it's me, and she probably still thinks it's me that did this, so I don't know what else to tell you, man. So we see that Harper is now pretty much on the offensive, and she's not gonna let it go at all. So let's hop on to what's going on in another side of things before we get more into that story, because there's a lot of stories coming in here, and it looks like they're all interweaving. We see that Albie and Lucia are still continuing their little romance of sorts, even though Lucia is still thinking it as a job, but we're not too sure entirely if she really is catching feelings like she says for Albie. We see Albie's dad is kind of like, hey, you need to get away from those girls, you need to chill back a little bit. And of course we know it's because he has been with her as well. So I don't know if it's a thing where he's trying to become a better person and try to put those feelings towards Albie. We see that his father as well is sort of like, you get with them as well, so what's the whole thing with you now being mad about Albie and all of that doing this as well. And they have a little one-to-one where he pretty much says, you're the reason that I'm the way I am, because I always saw how you treated our mother, and I know now that this is a way that I try to cope myself, putting myself at the forefront, and I don't want Albie to pretty much follow those footsteps or anything like that as well. And so I like this whole dynamic between the three generations, where we really see that one is sort of trying to do better at the same time, but at the same time still falls victim to this sort of mentality of wanting something else from these relationships as well that might not be exactly what it is. So we see this whole thing between these three characters, and it is an interesting conversation that they have about masculinity and femininity, as well as how a man should act or shouldn't act, and well, and what they expect from a woman as well. And that's always been one of the most interesting aspects for me of the show so far, is this dialogue that we have between these three generations of men. So I very much so am excited to see where this goes on. But Lucia explains to Albie that she owes money to Alessio, who pretty much sounds like her pimp of sorts, and we know that Cameron owes her money as well from the other night, and we see her trying to get his attention for this, and he's just pretty much like, wait, and we know Cameron's not going to give that money, right, because he would already given it. So we see this whole relationship between her and Albie sort of start to flourish, where she's like, I like you and I'm not going to charge you, because it's not like I'm doing work or anything like that. It's just, I do genuinely like you. So her feelings could be joining in, but we're not too sure, right? We also have Tanya, who seems to be in some sort of cult, in my opinion, with Quentin and the other guys that she's hanging out a lot with right now. And the reason I say that cult feeling is because they are sort of like seeing her as an object of sorts that they are just carrying around. It feels like they don't really value her as a person and just try to really like get entertained by her life and all of that. And we see that she has talked so much about her life. She's probably talked about how much money she has and all of this. So we're not entirely sure if they're really for the best like for her, or they're just trying to use her to try and get to her money or whatever. They seem to talk a lot about the money and also about a lot of the places they go to, just wanting to keep up with it. Like the recent place they took her, they talk about how they weren't able to secure funds for it and all of that because they didn't want to open it to the public. So I feel like in some way they're going to try and push her to keep them open of sorts and give them money to sort of keep this beauty alive, as they say. And I feel like they're a cult as well, because there's like something very sinister feeling about the way they're just like taking her around and all of this. We also see Jack and Portia continue their relationship as well. We see a sort of goodbye between her and Albie as well at a certain point in this episode, and we see that Portia's all into Jack at this point. But we find out that Jack, maybe he's not really who we think he is. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Let's hop back onto Harper and Ethan, where we see that they are now with Cameron and also Daphne having like a winery event where they're tasting all these wines and just talking. And we see the conversation start to pretty much slide down more onto Harper now getting grilled about questions about her sex life and just her personal life in general. And we see that Cameron's a little getting touchy with her. And so we feel that Cameron might be trying to hook up with her or something like that. Ethan earlier in the episode had talked about how Cameron was sort of the one who, anytime he found out Ethan liked this girl, he was on it. He was going to sleep with her because he was trying to get on him. And we see him and Ethan have a little bit back and forth about this. And so it was an interesting thing right there, because we're starting to see, I think, Ethan crack open and really see who he really is deep down. And I think everything he had been putting up so far has been sort of a mask of sorts. And I think in the next few episodes we're going to see who he really is now. So Lucia and Albie actually go out into the town, and we see that they run into Alessio, who is actually seemingly looking for the money that Lucia was talking about. At first I was wondering if Lucia was just making this up about Alessio and all of that, but it seems that this is real. I thought she was just trying to get money, but I think that that is going to be the impending danger we're going to see in the next couple of episodes, because he looked pretty pissed, and as we know, there is dead bodies in the first episode, so we don't know exactly who's going to bite the bullet yet, but I'm pretty sure we're getting close to really seeing what the impending danger is. At this point, I think Alessio could be part of it, or this cult that Tanya is in, if she is in one, or you never know, it could be the couples that get into it at a point and we see something happen, right? So we're definitely getting closer to that impending danger. The episodes start to feel a little bit more on the edge as well, where I feel like at the beginning they felt a little bit more loose. Now we're really starting to feel everything like closing in, and things are going to get bad, I feel. So like I said earlier about Jack and Portia's relationship, we see it start to flourish, like I said, but towards the end of the episode and the end of it, we see that there's something else going on here with Jack. It seems like he doesn't really have the money, or feels like he has money at all at one point when he's not even able to pay for dinner. And then we find out that he tells Portia to wait for him, that he's going to do something in her room, that he'll be back later. And Tanya wakes up to some noises, and when she goes to check it out, it's actually Quentin and Jack having sex. And we thought for a bit, wait a minute, isn't that your nephew you kept saying? And that's how the episode ends right there as well. So very much so an insane episode. So much drama, so much stuff happened here. I think one of the interesting things I forgot to talk about too is Daphne showing Harper one of her kids who has blonde hair. And of course Cameron and Daphne don't have blonde hair, but she does talk about a personal trainer that she has that does have blonde hair. So could she be trying to tell Harper, hey, I have a kid out of wedlock, and it's not Cameron's, but it's because he can do whatever he wants, so I can do whatever I want, so I go to this trainer all the time. And so I think that's going to be an interesting thing that I think is going to keep brewing as well, because there's a reason that we saw that picture and that Daphne let this information out for Harper to know. I also think it's going to be interesting how Quentin tries to explain to Tanya, because I think Tanya is not going to go tell Portia just yet. She's going to confront Quentin about what's going on, and I think that after whatever answer he gives, he might be able to convince her to not tell anything because he might promise her something. We know Tanya seems to be like being spun around by Quentin, and we know that he might just be able to say something to her to keep her from telling anything to Portia, because he might just be trying to keep Jack happy at the same time to make him happy. I don't know what's going on here, but it is a mess, and I'm excited to see how this mess unfolds. Like I said, this show, it just keeps on getting crazier and crazier. The whole thing with Albie and Lucia and Alessio is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see if Alessio does become violent towards either Albie, since he is with Lucia right now, or Cameron, who owes those euros as well. So we're going to see, because Cameron, it seems like Lucia really needs that money really soon. And I think that she's just going to tell Alessio, well, he doesn't want to pay me. What do you want me to do, right? And I think we'll probably see Alessio in the next episode make it into the White Lotus somehow, as we see that there is definitely going to be something happening here. So, like I said, I think Tanya's getting inaugurated into a cult. I think she's going to be sort of suckered into giving her money as well to whatever this is. And I think that Quentin's going to be able to do that very well. I think they're keeping Portia preoccupied with Jack in order to sort of keep Tanya distant away from her and anybody else. And I'm interested in seeing when Greg finally comes back, because I think he's going to be gone for 2 or 3 days, right? So I think he should be back in the next episode, because I think that's how long has already passed since he left. So we'll see what happens when that does come around. Does Cameron and Harper's relationship develop into something more in the next episode? At the end of the last episode, it really looked like they were giving each other the eyes. So I was like, are they about to do something? And it'd be interesting, especially considering the relationship they've had. I mean, that little meeting they had when Harper was swimming, and then when he got undressed in front of her, it's sort of like starting to start some sparks of sorts, and sort of could be the way that Harper tries to get back at Ethan, as she's been sort of pushed this idea by Daphne to just get him back in some sort of way as well. So we'll see what happens with that, but let me know your thoughts and opinions on White Lotus. I'll make a video talking about my thoughts and theories on the next episode, and we'll be covering the next 2 episodes as well in the finale, so stay tuned for that. But as always, that's going to do it for me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you're subscribed, turn that notification bell on. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers. We're doing a giveaway. All you have to do is be subscribed and comment down below your favorite movie. We'll be doing a drawing on December 25th on a special live we're going to do, and the winner will get a special package. So stay tuned for that. But as always, that's going to do it. I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.